Hey friends, Karen here. I wanted to jump on here and show you guys how I tie my tomatoes. When I do this the first time, I go ahead and trim up the bottom to start off with, and so I'm just going to show you guys how I do that. It is really important to stake your tomatoes or else they will grow on the ground, and then they're kind of more at risk for disease and just different stuff like that. So you want to keep the bottoms really clean, free of leaves and stuff, so that no splash up is getting on the leaves and causing them to get a disease or anything like that. So I'm just going to show you guys how I do this for mine, and then once I jump on the cattle panels, which I don't think any of them are quite tall enough to start doing that, but I might tie them up to the bottom just to get them to start growing up straight. So I'm just going to show you guys what I do. So right here, these are determinate style, and you can actually see how the stem has already curved a lot because it was growing like this. So what I'm going to do is just train it to grow straight from now on. It's later, I'm going to grow straight. And determinate style tomatoes, what I do is leave all the sucker shoots on because I want it to produce as much fruit as possible because they set their fruit all at the same time. So then indeterminate, I actually do prune all the sucker shoots off because I really want it to focus on its growth and just continue producing, not produce everywhere on the plant. So I will show you the different methods that I do, and then how I tie them up as well with stakes and such. So for these are semi-determinate, which mean they grow determinate style, but they produce fruit continuously. So I'm actually going to prune the sucker shoots off of these plants because I don't want it to do that, since it does produce like an indeterminate. And then for actual determinate plants, I'll show you guys how I leave all those on. And then the indeterminate varieties, I actually prune the suckers off, like I said. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. I already did a couple, which you could see me tying them to the stakes. And then now I'm going to do these. These are semi-determinates. So let's put you guys right there. Hopefully you can see. But since this one has already grown kind of crooked, I'm going to tie it twice. So I'm going to tie it down here close to the bottom. Then I'm also going to tie it towards the top so that the main shoot is actually growing straight again. So let's get started and do that. Also, the ties that I'm using are just garden tape. It's really stretchy and it gives itself as the plant is growing. So that's what I have used. Last year I used kind of something similar. It had soft coated wire. I do like this stuff a little bit better just because you can get a bigger spool of it. You don't have to buy as much of it. So I am really excited to try this stuff for this year. So here we got a lot of rain yesterday. You can see all the splash up that got on the plant. So I'm gonna trim kind of this bottom stuff. You can see here. So down in this area, you see like these bottom leaves. I want all of this stuff to be off the plant because I don't want it to get diseases just because that stuff is getting splashed up from the ground. So I'm just going to trim some of this stuff off here. I'm actually going to trim this entire thing off the side because I want it, since this is a semi-determinate, remember, it does grow like a determinate as far as size, but then here you can see our sucker shoots. So in between a main leader and like the main stem, these need to come off. Now, the next time that it rains, this plant will actually get a nice washing and get all this dirt off. So now, what I'm going to do, since it started growing sideways, is I'm just going to kind of wrap it around and then tie it again so that this plant is now wanting to go straight. Might actually tie it 3 times since it has such a big bend in it already. And you don't want to tie this stuff tight. It does give itself, but still kind of want it to be able to move. And then once more up at the top here. There. All right. So now as this grows a little bit more, I will tie it again so that it stays up towards the top here. And then that plant is done. So like you can see down here at the bottom, all of this is cleaned off. So the splash up from the dirt isn't gonna go on the plant's leaves as much. So keeping that nice and clean. But I also have to do my ground cherry. I don't have enough stakes to do all of them today, but I'm going to try and find some more stakes because I want to get it all done today because it's overcast, which is really a good time to do tomato trimming because it's not hot. So the plant isn't gonna like feel stressed as much when you're trimming all of that stuff off. And tomatoes are pretty vigorous plants, so yeah. All right, on to the next one. So I'm just gonna go through and keep doing these. Ooh, yay! You can see here, little baby tomato. That's exciting. Cool. All right, here we go.
Wait,
Mama, wait. Thank you.
oh, sorry. Okay. Wait, Mama, wait.
That is how I did those. I didn't trim the determinate ones like you saw. Sorry, it is kind of loud back here, but we're gonna do this anyway because I need to get it done. So here, these are indeterminate, and I want them to grow on this arbor. So I'm gonna trim these like I did the semi-determinates because these are gonna get really tall. So the semi-determinates, those won't get as tall. They'll go to a certain size and stop, but they'll continue to produce throughout the entire year. It's okay, you got it. You got it. Sätt that nu hur cardboard here. Oh, that new.
Ow!
That. All right, så vi bara har med tape.
No tape. No tape.
Okay.
No, not this tape.
Huh?
Not this tape.
Oh, okay.
Tape.
Yeah.
Duct tape. The blue.
It's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just started away. Crazy. And a day or holiday.
Nothing more. Don't you just like it?
Yeah.
So for this one, I'm only going to tie it a little bit because as it gets bigger now, I'm going to train it to go into the arbor. But I just needed it to come this way. And it's been growing kind of wild. So like here is a sucker. But some of these plant leaves are actually growing downwards, and I don't want that either. I'm going to trim some of this stuff down here towards the bottom so that there's not as much splash up towards the bottom of the plant. Like that. And then, so here you can see like this one, I want this to be its main stem right here. So train that to go in here and have it grow up. But these little ones, I want to take these off. You can actually take sucker shoots like this and put them in the ground and it'll grow another tomato plant, which is pretty cool. Exciting, they have little blooms. Oh, yay. Yay for tomato season. This one here was actually planted later, so I'm not going to do very much to it. It's already against the arbor. I'm just going to let it kind of grow a little bit. But since it's already trained on the arbor, its leaves are curling against it, so that just helps it a lot. But these poor guys needed to go into the ground. Goodness gracious. But all right, so now I'm gonna do this other, these are the Sun Gold variety of tomatoes. We loved these last year in the garden. This one is a little bit wonky, so I'm just gonna kind of tie it over just lightly until it kind of reaches over here so that I can train it up on the arbor. So I could almost put it up on that cattle panel, but let's see here. So now these are my indeterminates as well. This one's been growing pretty good, straight, but what I'm gonna do is just tie it here so that I can then just train it onto the arbors, or to the panels. And like this one's kind of growing sort of wonky, so I'm just gonna tie them up to them so that they grow up to where I need them to be. And then I'm gonna trim them as well. Wow. Alright, so I hope you guys are kind of getting the gist of how I do it. I am by no means a professional or like saying that my way is the right way, but this just seems logical to me, and from what I've read, you really want to keep the bottom of the plants clean, which actually here, I didn't notice that. I'm going to cut this back shoot off because I want these indeterminates to only have one main stem that's growing up, because they just produce really well that way. Or they did last year when I cut them like that, so that's what I'm doing again this year. So I have a couple more on this arbor, and then I do need to go get more stakes. Alright guys, I hope that was helpful. That is how I'm going to tie and trim my tomatoes this year. I will let you guys know at the end of the season how everything does, and throughout the season as well. But just a basic note, you want to keep the bottom clean, tie them up so that they grow vertical, make sure there's no sucker shoots on your indeterminates, leave the determinate ones get as bushy as possible, and let them set all the fruit. But thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Bye!
Bye.
I said to you, bye. Love you, love you, love you, baby.